Welcome to Fond du Famous. I'm your host, Kelly Northlee. Each week, we're meeting with different business owners, nonprofits, historic homeowners, and those making a difference in the community of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. This week, I'm here with the owners of Fond du Lac Cyclery in downtown Fond du Lac. This is Alyssa and Bart, and if you guys would just tell us a little bit about what got you here and what we're in, maybe.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. So we're in some Terra Trikes. These are a recumbent bicycle that you can ride around all over. You're in a fitness bike or a recumbent exercise bike for inside.
All right.
But yeah, we're the owners of Fond du Lac Cyclery. We got here because we decided to buy a bike shop and leave our other careers. I guess originally it wasn't the plan for Alyssa to work here, but yeah, that was my goal.
Yeah, we've been here for just a hair over a year. And yeah, nothing has gone as planned, but everything's been going really well, and it's been really fun. So we've learned a lot in the last year, and have really gotten to be more a part of Fond du Lac than we had been before we moved downtown, and we became part of the downtown community too. So it's been really fun.
Yeah, so tell me about that. The downtown community here is kind of like popping, I guess. I feel like I sound old saying that, right? Like that's not what people say anymore, but it's been going really well. You guys are like doing a ton of marketing. There's a ton of not programs, but like events and things. So tell us of your experience with that.
There's a lot of downtown businesses that are all really invested in not only helping their individual business grow, but helping downtown grow and knowing that their business is going to grow as a result, kind of in that wake. And so there's DFP, or the Downtown Fond du Lac Partnership, which is kind of our central hub, and they offer so much for downtown businesses in terms of support and creating these events and those kinds of things. And then there's a group of business owners that meet a little bit more organically and do the same thing. And so between those two groups, the more formal group and the more casual group, there's just a whole bunch of people that are looking to build each other up and build up each other's businesses to make downtown really vibrant. And as new business owners, like that's been really awesome. That makes it a lot less intimidating, a lot easier to say like, hey Sarah, hey Tracy, like how do I do this? You can ask those questions because you have those relationships, which is really nice. And it's also just, if someone comes in and they say, hey, you guys do skate sharpening, right? Well, we don't, but Jack's is just 4 storefronts down. Let me help you get there. We also know enough about each other's businesses to support, so we're meeting the customer need too.
And you're matching that with other businesses. They're in here, they're saying where they've got to go, and you're directing them, so that helps too.
Yeah.
I love that. So what have been the difficulties in opening up a new business? Because you guys weren't really looking to necessarily have a bike shop, but it worked out and you took it and ran with it. So what were the difficulties there?
Yeah, I think if we were opening a new business, it would have been so much harder, right? Getting all our displays up, painting, decorating, getting it looking the way we'd want it to. Fortunately, we bought it. We acquired the business from the previous owner. He owned it for 40-some years, and a lot of that was in place already. We just had to make it our own, clean it up, and get it looking good. So really, there's a lot of challenges to starting a business, and if you're motivated, you can do it. It's fun. It's hard, but it's fun.
There's a lot to know, and you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And so you all of a sudden you run into something and you're like, oh my gosh. And that's where you pick up the phone and you call Amy at the Downtown Fond du Lac Partnership and you're like, what is this? What do I do? And that's where it's really nice to have those connections, because they're, what is the hardest thing? And, or people will ask like, what's the biggest thing you've learned? And I'm like, well, the biggest thing I've learned about bikes, or the biggest thing I've learned about business, or the biggest thing I've learned about property ownership, or being a landlord, or like, the biggest thing about what? Like, there's so much. So, yeah.
Do you guys have a tenant upstairs? That would mean?
Yeah,
okay, cool. That works out well. I didn't realize that was part of it too.
Yeah, it's a little bonus.
Is it one tenant, or do you have a couple apartments up there?
Just one.
One?
Yeah.
It's a 3-bedroom apartment, but it's just one guy up there, and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And we were fortunate too, where he was a tenant of the previous owners.
Yeah.
And just worked really smoothly, and we,
Good.
especially well, yeah. Again, nothing is planned. Everything's going really well.
Right. So you have 2 businesses now. You didn't even.
Yep. Surprise.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay. Well, what else can you tell us about this place? How have you guys made it your own? Because you said that you came in, you cleaned it up a little bit, you wanted to put your own flair on it. What have you guys done so far?
Yeah. So some of it was just like basic organizing. The previous owner, John, he owned a bike shop during the pandemic, which was a really wild time where you can't get anything in, and then you can get everything in, but it's not the right stuff. And so things got on top of it. A lot of bike shop owners during that time. And so, we were just kind of like, okay, let's sort this out. And that's something that John would have done if he continued to own the business through this time too. So we had that little bit of post-COVID cleanup. But also just like my background is really in human services, nonprofits, working for the state, those kinds of things. And like community building is one of my big things. And so I'm like, how can we use this bike shop to build a really cool, inclusive community? And so we've been doing a lot of rides and events, and a lot of times like bike shop rides are, hey, you're on a drop bar bike and you're going fast and you're, doing all these things. And some of our rides are literally riding 1.5 miles to Bob's on the Avenue. We all get pizza together and then we ride back. So trying to make it so we can build a community for every level of cyclist. That's been, I think, the biggest way that we've made it our own. And also just creating a really, and John had done this too, but creating a really welcoming presence for, hey, have you never walked into a bike shop before? Yeah, I acknowledge that can be a little bit intimidating, but we're not going to judge you if you don't know the words. We're not going to judge you if you call a bike something silly or like an old term for it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, come as you are. We're going to work with you. We're going to find a bike that meets your needs, and then you can go ride and have fun and be happy and do what you want to do, And so I think that's not necessarily something that we've done to change what John had done, but something that we've really done that is really special about this bike shop is just like, we do have customers that are racers, that are really good racers, that are awesome mountain bikers, that are all of these things. And we also have riders that are commuters. We have riders that ride their bike 3 times a year. We have some that literally only go on our pizza rides, and that is their biking. And that's all of that is okay. And just creating a kind of a come as you are environment has been our thing.
I love that. So you can bring your kids on some of them, and then some of them are up to like actually getting in gear and going, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the youngest person that we had on some of our more casual rides that rode by themselves, I think was 5 or 6 years old. But we had kids in burlies. We brought our daughter, who's 3, on a little like back seat, kiddo seat. And we also did like a youth bike race for Fondue Fest, where it was like, we had a Strider bracket, and oh my gosh, that was the cutest thing. All these little kids on Striders going, and yeah, that was super fun. And yeah, and then we support Race the Lake, and we provide SAG support for that, and the Berkey Ride, and the Oshkosh Century, and so everything in between.
And you guys are doing a lot to really get this out there. You're doing a lot of marketing online and social media, of course, and just doing things differently and connecting a little bit more, which is really fun to see.
Yeah.
What do you think your favorite part of owning this has been?
Our favorite part probably has been the challenge, right? It's been really
embracing the challenge.
Yeah, it's been hard, but it's been fun, and it's been like, hey, how can we do this or make this different? How can we change this? And we can make that decision right away. We don't have to go through different levels. We don't have to get the president to approve it or whatever, right? Like, it's just like,
boss.
Right, exactly. It's just like, hey, let's do this thing and try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't, but we'll be smarter for next time, and we can change and grow with it. So that's what's been like challenging, right? It's everything's a challenge, right?
It is.
But it's fun, and what we do with it is kind of the better part of it, right? Learning and growing.
Yeah, and you guys can make this a family business too. I mean, whether or not your daughter wants to take it over is a whole different story, but she gets to be a part of it as she grows up, which is so fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Has she enjoyed being in here so far, or does she just kind of grab everything?
Yeah, you might see tire tracks where she rides a loop around the shop, she's riding bikes, yeah.
Yeah, she loves to play with the bells. She loves to, but she also loves our crew. Like our sales guy, Brandon, like before she leaves, she's like, Brandon, can I give you a hug? Like she just, or she'll ask, well, how's Joe doing? Like she'll just, like she loves these guys, and they're all really great with her. So it's kind of, they're our village that it takes to raise a child. And she, anytime we go to Bob's on the Avenue, she goes, we're going for a pizza ride. It's like, well, it's 15 degrees and we're going in the car, but yeah, we're going on a pizza ride. So it has been really fun. And we've met some of our closest friends now through the bike shop, through some of these group rides. And we hear about other people like, oh yeah, like we didn't really know each other. We kind of half knew each other, but then we went on this, this bike ride together, and now we hang out once a week. And so, one of my closest friends, whose daughter is one of Eleanor's closest friends, like we met through here too. And so she, there's that like very tangible benefit of being more involved and putting yourself out there is, it's been awesome.
That's great. And you guys moved here from a different area, is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
What's it like having a business in Fond du Lac and living in Fond du Lac?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Zumbrota, Minnesota, which is about an hour south of the Twin Cities. It's one of those towns that you have to give its like relative position to other cities to know where it is.
Okay.
And then, so we moved here in 2017, but Bart's originally from Wisconsin at least, but from Medford.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Zumbrota, Minnesota, Medford, Wisconsin, they're both towns of like 4,000, 5,000 people. And 3,000? Okay, well, they're small towns, right? And so, Fond du Lac, of course, is 45,000 people. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like that, no. Right? And so that's what we really liked about the town is just, hey, we can come in. It's got all these big city benefits, but it also feels like a small town. And we're, really happy to be here because it's, meeting all our needs. There's tons to do, relative to where we came from, right?
Right.
And it's just been fun because, like, hey, if we need to do something, we can find it in Fond du Lac, or we can go somewhere that's nearby and get it, right? And I know people always tout Fond du Lac as being an hour from everywhere, but it's, Fond du Lac's good. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Yep.
And something that I didn't realize is just like a community member that I'm really, really appreciating as a business owner is where we're physically located. We're supported by the Downtown Fond du Lac Partnership. We're also Envision members. We also get support from Destination Lake Winnebago, and we have Fond du Lac festivals that we're able to collaborate with. And so there's 4 agencies, I guess, for lack of it, 4 kind of entities that are able to support us, that we're able to interact with and collaborate with, that provide so much more support too. And I don't think people realize how unique that is to Fond du Lac, is to have so many options and so many different ways to get support. And there are some things where Downtown Fond du Lac Partnership is the best place to go for what we need in that moment. And there are other times where it's like, oh, yep, that's an Envision question. And then there's other times where it's like, hey, I want to do something maybe a little bit different for Sturgeon Spectacular. Let me call up Pete at Fond du Lac Festivals and see what he thinks of the idea. It's just nice to have other entities that you can bounce off of, you can play with, and then also bring things to Fond du Lac that we can then participate in too. So we don't have to create everything from scratch. Sometimes we just have to join in the party.
Right, and bring Fond du Lac to it, or bring it to Fond du Lac. I love that. Okay. Well, thank you guys. Where can people follow you if they want to check you out online, in person? Give us the details.
Yeah, so in person, we're at 209 South Main Street. And so just so you do know, there is parking. There's really great off-street parking. If you take 5th Street, which is the one way, and you turn left right behind the Lighthouse Bistro, we have parking in the back that is free and that is mostly available and that will hopefully be resurfaced in the next couple of years. And then online, we're on Facebook at Fond du Lac Cyclery. We're on Instagram at Fond du Lac Cyclery. We're on TikTok and we're working on it. But just make sure if you are following us on social media that you see the new blue logo rather than the older logo, just because we weren't able to get some of those old pages cleared out. We didn't have access to them. So make sure that you're following the up-to-date one. And we're also at fdlcyclery.com.
Wonderful. Thank you guys. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, all those links are on the website, fdlcyclery.com. So it's really easy to see it right there on the top. You can just click and follow.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you guys for being on.
Thanks, Kelly.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.